we're here for the butt jokes tonight. Love it. Your next comedian has been heard on SiriusXM and radio stations nationwide. Please welcome Dead Air Dennis Maller.
Yay! Woo! It's me, everybody. Hello, hi. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is what's great about this This is the only good thing about the pandemic is that we made friends with people across the country. Like most of our comedians are in LA, and I became friends with. Like this show is Evan Causey and Friends, and it's not a coincidental title. Like he booked it, he brought us on, and I appreciate it, and I'm glad he considers me a friend because I consider him and Autumn and Ray and Danny and Victoria and everybody on the show friends as well. And it's really special because I'm all the way in Boston. Like they're all in LA. I'm here in Boston, and that's the best thing about the pandemic is that we people from across the country came together. So which, by the way, I am broadcasting live from my podcast studio here in Boston. And if you don't mind, round of applause. Do we like the way it looks? Does it look cool? Yes. I don't have a computer that can do a virtual background, so I always worried I had to make sure what was behind me was cool because back in the day when we could go out into the world, I would do comedy at like VFW halls or Knights of Columbus, or for whatever reason, sometimes at clubs, they just have a giant American flag against the back wall. And I'm always worried about doing comedy in front of an American flag because if you see me in front of an American flag shouting into a microphone with this haircut, I look like Breitbart stock photos. All I'm trying to do is convince people that this is a genetic defect, not a political statement. That's it. That's all I want people to do. You know what? Since we are all friends here, I'm going to do something a little different. So for those who don't know, I took up when the pandemic started, I took up playing the ukulele. I decided I'd learn the ukulele, and it's been 1 year playing the ukulele. And tonight, here in front of all my internet friends and all my new internet friends, I'm going to play a song for you all. I didn't tune this, so hopefully it sounds good. I wasn't expecting to do this, but I've been writing a song, and I'm gonna play it for you guys. All right, so let's. Before I play it, let me just tell you. Here's the thing about being a comedian. Every comedian wants to be a rock star, and every rock star wants to be a comedian. That's just the way life is. That's how things work out. And I'm no exception to that rule. I wish as a comedian I could do the things that rock stars could do. Like example, before the pandemic happened, I got to see one of my most favorite bands of all time before the pandemic, and here's what happened. Like, in the middle of the set, they just stopped playing, and they looked at a young lady in the front row of the audience, and they're like, "Hey, what is your favorite song of ours?" And she told them, and then they played it. Do you understand? As a comedian, I'm never going to be able to do that. Like, hey, Joey, what's your favorite joke of mine? It doesn't exist. You can't. There's no answer. It doesn't work out that way. So here's what really made me mad. All right. Not only did they play this woman's song, after asking her what their favorite song is, they played it. Here's what really made me mad. In the middle of that song, they just stopped playing, and then me and every other audience member still continued to sing the song. You understand? No comedian's ever going to be able to do that. I can't be like, there is a wrong way to eat a Reese's. If you have a peanut allergy, like that's not how this is going to work. It's not going to... So I think really when I wrote this song, and I'm sorry we're on a comedy channel, I'm going to do a song that's not about comedy. I just wrote this song, and that's really what it's about. Is about being a comedian and wanting to be a rock star. And it's not funny. There's no jokes in it, and I'm going to apologize in advance for that because you would see and somebody and you're like, oh my god, he's going to write a really really funny song because God forbid he walks around in public with that hat on. Of course he's goddamn hilarious, right? But it's not. The song's not in any way, shape, or form. It's not a funny song. So, actually, before I play a song, I just want to go real quick and because the song is kind of about that, but it's really about it's really inspired by one of my favorite songs of all time. Have you guys and gals make some noise? Have you ever heard of a song called "Superstition" by Stevie Wonder? Yeah, good funky song. And this is really what the inspiration for that song was is superstition. Because I'm a superstitious person and I love that song. And the first, it's a great song because when I got my car, I drove off the lot and I put on Superstition by Stevie Wonder, right? And I'm driving down the street and I'm listening to Superstition by Stevie Wonder. I got the volume cranked all the way up. I got windows rolled down. I have a sunroof for the first time. Like this car had 5 exits to it, which is 3 more than any other car I've owned has had. So it was a special moment for me, if you get it. So I'm driving down the road and I'm listening to Superstition and I'm screaming at the top of my I was singing at the top of my lungs. It's weird if I drive down the street and I'm just like, ah! So I'm singing at the top of my lungs. Right. And I pull up to a red light and I'm listening to the song and a cop car pulls up next to me and he rolls down his window and I look at him like, oh, I'm sorry, officer. And I turn down the volume and I'm like, and I look over and the cop goes, you don't know shit about Stevie Wonder. I kid you not. This cop then turned on Superstition by Stevie Wonder on his own radio in the middle of the song. Do you know how kismet this is? He heels wheels and then drives away through the red light. Yeah, I don't think you understand. The only thing more badass that cop could have done was just pop off caps as he drove away. And that was the moment where I was like, I need to write a song about this. And so that's where the inclinations of this song started, is back in that day, is I started writing lyrics to this song. And, you know, all these years later, here we are, and I'm going to play it. And so that's really kind of what it's inspired by, is by comedy and, you know, a cop and all that stuff. So here we go. Actually, really, one more thing. I just want you to know that is a story of mine that is a story of mine that I've told for years. I love that story. It's one of my favorite stories to tell because, in addition to usually I do comedy shows at like variety shows. So there's like musicians, there's burlesque dancers, there's a whole bunch of different performing artists there, and I love to tell that story because one time I was telling that story. It's a true story, but it's also because this one time I was telling the story, and in the middle of me telling the story, there's a musician in the front middle row. And as I'm telling the story, he reaches into his coat pocket and he pulls out this tiny little keyboard with a hose on it. And he puts the hose in his mouth and he starts playing Superstition by Stevie Wonder on this tiny little keyboard. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. I didn't know that you could be that much of a drunk that your keyboard had a breathalyzer. And honestly, that's clearly a joke. I mean, he did play the song on it. It's a melodic. The instrument's called a melodic. It's like a wind-powered keyboard. It's really cool, fun little instrument. And that's the thing about that story, is that it's clearly a joke because we as a society would never be that prudish to put a breathalyzer on musical instruments. That's because we would never have music ever again. So. And I think that's really what this song is about, is that we as a society would never be that prudish. So that's what this song is really inspired by, is that us as a society can come together for the arts and stuff like that. But actually, this is the thing. I will say this before I play the song. I am a huge proponent for putting breathalyzers on jukeboxes because I never want to hear "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey ever again. So that's really what the song is about, is how much I hate Journey. So here we go. It's not yet titled. I don't have a title for it, so I'm sorry. So you guys are going to be the big debut. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm out of time, everybody. All right, have a great night. Thanks for being here. Good night.
I am so mad at you right now because Dennis is right. We've met over Zoom, and I would constantly see him playing his ukulele, like when it wasn't his turn, and I got so excited that he was going to play his song for us, and then he didn't do it. That's okay. Someday it's going to happen, and I'll be ready for the moment.